Hello and welcome to the Trusted Podcast. I'm your host, Blake Johnson. Great to be with you today. I've got a great program lined up, and today we are going to be talking about commercial probates and what that looks like, because it's very different than the traditional probate where you may just have the house, some investment accounts, and a bank account, and that's it. A commercial probate is going to involve lots of different things. You have, your large multi-owner businesses. You have things like, construction companies, plumbing companies, auto repair shops, tech companies, anything that's multi business owners that are larger projects. That's going to be quite a bit different than a single sole owner or single member LLC type business. You've also got family-owned businesses, so there's different dynamics with that, but it's still a larger business doing a lot of revenue, a lot of equipment or other value associated with it. Part of the reason that's so different is getting the valuation on that. It's easy to value a home. You just go out and get an appraisal. Getting a business appraisal is very, very different. Usually it's quite a bit more expensive. And, there's all sorts of different things they're going to look at. They're going to look at comparable businesses. They're going to look at cash flow. They're going to look at, what the equipment's in there, what the tax situation looks like. So, that's a whole different ballgame for probate with those type of companies. We also have things like intellectual property, your copyrights, to things like music or art, or recordings or videos or, those kind of things. And you have, with the intellectual property of, processes, things that you've trademarked or patents, anything like that, where you've invented something. That's, a whole niche right there as far as commercial probates go. Then you have things, like apartment complexes, high-rise buildings, strip malls. Those are different than a house. Office space, you got medical offices, dentist office, you've got attorney's office or law offices, CPA offices. Those are all treated differently in how they value those. And then you have things like gas stations or convenience stores. So there's a whole wide range of things that can happen with under the umbrella of commercial probates. And if somebody's not familiar with it, they've only done individual stuff. So the house and the retirement account or the investment account and the bank account, they don't know all the nuances that go into that. And so that's why I want to distinguish that this is very, very different in the sense of finding the assets, making sure they're valued properly, making sure they're maintained and they're still operating and not going to lose their value when the probate's going on, because the process of the probate is still very much the same as far as the court is concerned, but there's a lot more going on behind the scenes. And we might have to do a few more petitions to the court to get orders to keep the business going, appoint somebody in the interim to handle the business, as well as somebody who's going to handle the estate, and have those be two separate roles. And giving updates as far as what's happening there, and getting permission to buy things for the business, and invest in different things or sell off pieces of it, because you have opportunities going on there. So it's quite a different dynamic, but the same value still applies. So in Nevada, we've got the three different levels of probates. You've got the set aside. So if the net value of the business is under 100,000, or the commercial space or whatever, then we can do what's called a set aside probate. Now, in the commercial space, that's very, very rare, because you're not going to get an asset unless it's worth something. It's commercial buildings, spaces, businesses, they all are a lot more valuable traditionally than a home. Now, there might be a loan against it that might offset most of that, but typically not. So the set aside is very, very rare that we would see on a commercial probate. The summary administration, that's if it's over 100,000 net, once again, and less than 300,000. So we've kind of got that range there. It's in the middle. All that means is we get to do things a little bit quicker. We have a shorter notice to creditor period, and we may not have to do as many notices as far as publications and so forth. That's what a summary administration does. And that could happen, I guess, if the equity is just, maybe you just bought it and it's within the last 2 years. or whoever the person who died did. And so there's not a ton of value, but there's still something there. And then the typical one that we see for commercial probates is the full administration. That's because it's anything above $300,000 net, the net value of that. So, if you've got a business that's producing really well, or you've got an office space you've had for a couple of years, those are the things that are really going to have that value, and it's going to be a full administration. So it's a longer process, and we have to go through and make sure we get all those valuations done. A lot of the times with these probates, we have to go get those valuations done before we file with the probate office, just to make sure that we're filing for the right type of probate. But 9 times out of 10, we're just gonna, if we even think we're close to 300,000 or more, we're just gonna file the full administration, so that way we know we're doing things the right way, and we can adjust it. It's easier to adjust it down than it is to adjust it up. So that's why we're going to err on the side of worth more, and we want to make sure we get those valuations done so it's very accurate. And there's some time sensitive things with this. Keeping the business going. Obviously, the longer that you have between the original owner's death and the probate done and the new owner stepping in, the longer that time period is, the less value that company is going to have, because if that person who died is an integral part of the business, we need to get somebody in there who can fill those shoes and really make things happen. So we don't want to wait too long and then have the business just die off because there's no more new revenue coming in. So once again, there's lots of nuances there, whether it's office space, high rise, full-fledged business, family-owned business, gas stations, whatever the case is. Probates are on the commercial side are very, very different. And so make sure you have somebody who has some experience in that, because it is a different beast there. And so here at Trusted, we can help you with any of those commercial probates, whether it's in Nevada or Utah. And we have a fairly good network or resources to find people in other states to help you out with that. We work with a lot of like California or Arizona attorneys who have clients that die in those states and but they have businesses or other holdings here in Nevada or Utah. And so we're coordinating together, because the way probate works is it's every state in which you own property, or the business, and so on. So we may have to do multiple probates. And so we will coordinate with those out-of-state attorneys to get the out-of-state probates done. So they whether it's our client initially lived here and then they hired us to do the probate, and then we reach out and do the probates for the other stuff in those other states, or vice versa. The California or Arizona attorney reaches out as an out-of-state probate to us and has us handle what's going on here in Nevada. So we're happy to do all that. We're happy to be the quarterback. We're also happy to be the person who's just kind of doing the one thing and following orders. But we can handle all ranges of that on the commercial probate side for you. So thank you for listening today. If you have any questions, please reach out. And as always, like and subscribe to the podcast. That way you're up to date on the latest stuff that's coming out. We've got some great stuff lined up with guest speakers coming on. So we're really excited about that. And then also leave us a review. Let us know how we're doing, how the show's going, and reach out and let us know what else you want to hear about, things that we may have missed and that are pertinent to you, and what can also apply to other listeners of the Trusted Podcast. So thank you for listening. We look forward to talking with you guys next.